I went to bed at 8:30 this morning and woke up at 10:30 for something I had to do. The night before, I barely slept and I was exhausted. But I still couldn't sleep properly yesterday. Well, today. Hi guys, it's me Rose. Welcome back if you're a regular and welcome if you're new. In this video, I wanted to talk about why this happens. Not the usual advice you hear everywhere, but the patterns I noticed from my own experience. The night before, I stay up past 2 a.m. on my phone. Then wake up there early next morning, spend the whole day outside. Come home feeling like I could literally pass out the second I get in. But then when I actually get into bed, sleep just won't come. I'm sure a lot of you know exactly what I mean. You were exhausted all day, but the second you lie down, your mind suddenly feels wide awake. You think, okay, tonight I'm definitely going to fall asleep right away. But somehow you end up more awake. I still struggle with insomnia sometimes, like last night. And you know what? It's not always just about not being able to fall asleep. Sleep problems can show up in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I'm exhausted, but I'm still wide awake until very late. Sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night and just can't settle back in. When people hear that someone can't sleep, the advice is always very similar. Wake up at the same time every day, no matter what time you slept. Don't take naps. Everybody knows that advice. It's like saying if you want to lose weight, eat well and exercise. It's not that we don't know. That's not the problem. We understand it in theory, but actually doing it and staying consistent is the hard part. So in this video, I don't really want to talk about those obvious kinds of tips. I want to talk about why it can be so hard to sleep, even when your body and mind are both tired, based on the patterns that I've personally noticed over the years. Usually around 11 p.m., even I'm not sleepy yet, I just get into bed anyways. By then I feel like I should be at least trying to fall asleep. So I turn off the lights, go to the bathroom first, and drink a little water. And get everything ready so nothing interrupts me. Because if I'm just about to drift off and feel suddenly thirsty or need to go to the bathroom, that can wake me right back up. Then I put my phone in the holder, open the ASMR playlist that I already saved for sleep, and choose whatever video that I want that night. And if that one ends and I'm still awake, I put on another one. Sometimes I pick 2 or 3 videos in advance. At that point, I'm not even trying to sleep anymore. I'm just trying to quiet my mind. I kinda have a works for everything sleep playlist. And there are so many Pixbum 53 videos in it. And most of them are from like 10 years ago. There are so many great ASMR videos now too. But for some reason, those older ones make me the sleepiest. Her getting her friend ready for a date makeup video. I have watched that for literally over 10 years. And I still don't get tired of it. But on the nights when it's really bad, it doesn't really matter how many things I try. I still end up lying there awake. And what's funny is, I'm the type of person whose eyes water when I yawn, so I'm clearly sleepy. I keep yawning. I'm literally wiping tears from my eyes. And still wide awake. My body is clearly tired enough that it would make total sense to fall asleep right away. But somehow sleep just doesn't come. So why is that? It almost feels like my body and my mind are completely out of sync. It doesn't make sense at all. My body's ready, but something in my mind just won't shut off. Looking back on all those nights, there was one big pattern I kept noticing. Most of the times, it was because I had too many thoughts. And too many thoughts can take a lot of different forms. Things like, is my schedule too tight tomorrow? Can I really get everything done on time? My exam is right around the corner. What if I'm not prepared enough? I have an important presentation. What if I mess it up? That kind of thing. And it's never just one thought. It's like one thought opens the door to another, and then another, and it just keeps going. And when it starts, it's almost impossible to stop. You know how you were sleepy when you first turn off the lights, but then your thoughts somehow get clearer and clearer? Sometimes I suddenly start replaying something that happened earlier that day. Like, did I say the wrong thing? Should I have responded differently? Or something really dumb like, oh, I think I forgot to turn off the light in the living room. And then I'm lying there thinking, okay, that's annoying. But I'm too lazy to get back up. I'll just ignore it. But then it keeps bothering me until I'm fully awake again. Sometimes I remember something I forgot to do. There were even times when it was something I could have done the next day. But it kept bothering me so much that I got out of bed and just did it. To be more specific about my own life, I used to pull all-nighters before every single flight. When I lived in Australia, I flew back and forth between Korea and Australia multiple times. By then, it should have been familiar, but for some reason, I still got nervous every time. It would start with thoughts like, did I pack everything? And somehow it would grow into full-on existential reflection. Like, am I really spending my youth in the most meaningful way by living in Australia instead of Korea? And okay, if you're going on a long-awaited overseas trip or on an important business trip, of course it makes sense to be excited or nervous. But even in situations that were already familiar to me, if I had all these small and big thoughts quietly sitting in the back of my mind, I'll be awake for hours. And when my schedule is too busy, my brain starts running constant simulations. What time do I need to wake up? If I stop there first and go to the next place, what if traffic is bad? Should I give myself another 30 minutes just in case? It just keeps going like that. My brain gets so noisy from all the calculation, my body can't relax. If you tend to overplan everything, you'll probably relate. And it's not just scheduling. I also sleep badly when I'm uncertain about the future, or when I'm about to start something new. I think anyone who's ever prepared for a job will probably relate to this. A lot of job seekers suffer from insomnia. A lot of them even end up flipping their whole sleep schedule. That was true for me and a lot of my friends too. You're preparing but it never feels like enough, and you don't know whether it will actually work out. That vague uncertainty is exhausting. And when you're standing right in front of a new decision, you keep thinking things like, did I make the right choice? Should I still back out? Should I not do this after all? And the hard part is, sometimes it's not even a loud kind of stress. It's not always like you're actively panicking. Sometimes it's just a quiet layer of uncertainty sitting in the background. But when that kind of feeling builds up day after day, that alone can be enough to keep me awake. Does any of this sound familiar to you? If you've ever gone through something like this, tell me in the comments. I'm really curious what kind of thoughts have kept you awake at night. Looking back on all the nights that I've struggled with sleep, from my art school days until now, more than 10 years at this point. I really think the problem was usually not that my body wasn't tired enough. Most of the time, it was that my mind was always the last thing to fall asleep. And I think that's also why the more I try to force sleep, the worse it gets. For example, if I slept late the night before and barely got any sleep, I'll think, okay, tonight I really need to go to bed early and get a full night of sleep. And somehow on nights when I think that way, it gets even harder to fall asleep. Maybe because sleep is supposed to happen naturally when it comes. But if falling asleep itself becomes the goal, that's when it starts to go wrong. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about the things that I actually check on nights like this, and the things that have helped me greatly. I've watched so many videos about insomnia and sleep over the years, but this next video will be based on my own 10 years of observing and experimenting. So I think it could actually be helpful. If you're also someone who feels sleepy but still struggles to drift off, the next video will help you more. I hope you sleep well tonight. Good night. That it would make total sense. Can you hear my dog snoring? But he's sleeping on my bed and I think the mic is picking it up. Anyhow,